Well, the holidays are upon us, and good stuffing is part of every great holiday meal. And I've got 3 delicious stuffing recipes, all using Saags sausage, to share with you today. The first is a Southern-style sausage stuffing, and I'm using the Saags Louisiana Hots. They're really kind of peppery and a little bit spicy, and I think contrast the French bread and the roasted vegetables and the turkey just beautifully. And here I stuffed it inside the bird and then also have it underneath the bird so all the drippings get into that sausage stuffing and just makes it really, really delicious. The second one here is a cornbread-based stuffing, and I sort of say this is a Southwestern style because it's got a little bit of chili powder, a little bit of cumin, but also I'm using the Saags andouille sausage, which is sweet and spicy, which I think is a great combination with the cornbread. And here is a really beautiful presentation of a roasted vegetable stuffing inside the sweet dumpling squash and acorn squash here. And I've got a variety of vegetables that I've diced up and sauteed and then added 2 different kinds of sausage too. I'm using Saags Marzenbier brats and their smoked brats. And using both the smoked and the unsmoked brats, I find gives a great range of flavor. And they're both fully cooked, but I saute them to caramelize them a little bit and bring out even more of their flavor. And I wanted to show you also that you can use the Saags natural line that has great flavors. This one is an Asiago fennel sausage, which also I think the fennel flavor in here would contrast the vegetables or complement the vegetables really beautifully. But let me first show you how to prepare the stuffing by getting the vegetables ready. First, I'm going to be using fresh fennel, which I love because it has this great sweet licoricey flavor that it goes great with the sausages and the turkey as well. So what I do, I just remove those thick branches that look like celery. You just remove those and then I cut down the center like this. It has a little core that I cut out right at the base like this. And then I simply cut it into wedges like so, and then I cut across. The other vegetable I want to show you is this squash here. This is called delicata squash, and I love this squash because it's got such great flavor and it's really dense, and when it's sauteed, it caramelizes and it's just wonderful. You don't have to peel it. You can if you want to. I don't. I just cut off the top like so. Take a piece like that. Then I scoop out the seeds. Then once I scoop out the seeds, just like the fennel, I cut it into bars, and then I line them up like that, and I cut across. Very simple. So in a hot skillet, put a little bit of olive oil, and then I add my onions. These are just some yellow onions diced up, a little bit of chopped garlic, and a little bit of butter. Okay, now my onions are starting to get a little bit brown. I'm going to add my brats, and then I'm going to let it sit here and just brown on the bottom of the pan, and that will caramelize them really nicely. If I move them around too much, they'll just get cooked without really browning. All right, so now my sausage and my onions are nice and caramelized. You can see here the brown in the bottom of the pan here. That caramelized sugars from the onions and the sausage really add a great dimension of flavor and sweetness to this stuffing. I think it's really, really fantastic. Okay, so now I'm going to add the rest of my vegetables. I've got the fennel and that delicata squash, some yellow squash here, as well as some zucchini, and some red bell pepper. Great colors, great variety of textures and flavors. Really wonderful holiday mix. And now finally I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And just a little dash of chili powder. Give it that little kick. So now I'm going to cover it, turn down the heat to medium, let it cook for about 5 minutes, and then we'll finish it up. All right, my vegetables have been steamed. They're nice and tender. Beautiful. Now to make sure I get all that great flavor in the pan, take a little bit of broth. Then I'm going to use my spoon and scrape all those little bits of the brown caramelized food off the bottom of the pan, get all that flavor into my broth. And then follow me over here. Now I'm going to take my vegetables and my broth and I'm going to add it to my bread here. I've got some cube bread as well as some ground stuffing bread. Then you just want to stir that together. It's really important that your stuffing is nice and moist because as it bakes, it can give off some of that moisture and dry out a little bit. So I always make sure that it's a little bit on the moist side. Okay, So now stuffing is ready, and we can go ahead and prepare our squash for stuffing. This is an acorn squash, and what I do first is I just cut off a little bit of the bottom. This allows the squash to sit flat in my casserole dish. Then, about 1.5 inches from the top, I cut the top off using a heavy, sharp knife. And then, using the tip of my knife, I just cut a little circle here. And then, take my spoon, go in there, and carve out the seeds. So now that I've carved the seeds out of the squash, it is ready for stuffing. So now you want to spoon the sausage stuffing into your squash, just like that, and really pack it in there. And then I just mound it up a little bit. So when you're ready to cook these, just put the top back on, put them in a casserole dish with about a cup of water, cover it with parchment paper and tinfoil, because I don't want the tinfoil touching the squash, and then bake it at 350 for about 1.5 hours. Then afterwards, they come out like this, and they're nice and tender, and all that sausage flavor has gotten into the squash as well as your stuffing, and then you can simply take it out and serve them just like that. And isn't that beautiful? For more great ways to spice up your meals with Saags sausage, go to Saags.com.